Good day all, RobotnikHolmes here, and good grief, the very fact that this miniseries was released not too long after Sonic readers were graced with issues 4 and 8, it really shows just how much the fandom embraced these two characters. Tangle and Whisper, two of the most popular Sonic heroes exclusive to the IDW comics. Fans loved them, creatives drew them, and Sega were probably like, holy crap, we've got a good one on our hands, fellas. You had to be there, man. Our crazy lemur girl was the first original character ever to debut in IDW Sonic. Sure, Rough and Tumble, the recurring baddies, were the first if you're going by reading order, but nobody could ignore the teasers and previews of the new good guy. Tangle's design was really appealing, her style and personality perfectly complemented the game cast, and it was terrific seeing her geek out over the Hedgehog's heroics. And sorry, shipping fans, I don't ship Tangle with Blaze. I ship her with Whisper. Yes, the Silent Wolf Sniper would make her debut no more than 4 issues later, and she was also praised by readership and fans alike for her unique design, her multi-wisp firearms, and her shy, if mysterious, demeanour. There are many things we don't know about her, including her past involving Shadow, and why she has such a great hate boner for the Eggman Empire. A conundrum which would soon be rectified, like many things, by throwing a lemur at it. This duo would come together in the 2019 Sonic Annual, having a story of them and Jewel the Beetle defending the town's museum from the Babylon rogues. In that, the shy Whisper and the boisterous Tangle certainly appear on opposite ends of the spectrum, though while they are on somewhat friendly terms due to defending Angel Island together, their differences are as clear as day. So colour me surprised when I heard they were going to star together in their own miniseries. At the time, I was delighted, but not all too surprised. Archie Sonic back in the day was no stranger to making spin-off material involving its cast of fluffy animals, but none of them were of comic-exclusive characters, nor were any good in my opinion, but still, the people at Sega were proud as punch, fans were clamouring to see their relationship develop further, and, I was also, more than I can even express in still images. So, like I did with my retrospective on the Knuckles spin-off, I'm going to go into this miniseries with an analysing mindset. I'm going to give an overview of the plot, explain my thoughts on the characters, the art, etc, etc. This spin-off is something really special, and it starts a fun trend of IDW Sonic dipping into new territory with each miniseries released afterwards. Alright, the Tangle and Whisper miniseries. Is it any good? Well, as Eggman would say, buckle up ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between. In this video we're looking at the Tangle and Whisper miniseries by IDW Publishing. This miniseries is like a roller coaster of emotion and mood, but I feel that's to its benefit. While it's surely got more grim subject matter than one would expect in a Sonic comic book, it naturally meshes well with the more playful moments, especially during the first few issues. It makes sense narratively too. You've got an extrovert and an introvert. Put them together and of course you get a neat blend of the two styles. It goes without saying. But before I talk about the way that works, let's go through the story outline of each issue, even if it takes up most of the fricking video. Issue number 1, Imposter. Tangle the lemur, being the energetic adventurer that she is mucking about in her home of Spiral Hill Village, though everyone seems to be used to it at this point, including her longtime friend Jewel, who does her best to keep her out of trouble. You see, Tangle's still riding that high she got from the previous adventures, and from the looks of it, it's not gonna be long before she goes on another one. Oh look, it's Sonic, being chased and fired at by Whisper the Wolf. Strange, isn't it? But as we quickly find out, things are not as they initially appear. The currently brown-eyed Sonic tricks the lemur and makes up a story about Whisper being controlled through her mask by Eggman, which the go-getting adrenaline junkie easily falls for. Tangle asks for answers, and Whisper delivers them in the easiest way she knows how, via capture footage from her visor, showing a very suspicious dude using Sonic's likeness to attempt an assassination on who he calls one of the diamond cutters. So we've got a shapeshifter on our hands. Fun times ahead. Our two heroes rest up in the Mineral Museum, where they and the Wisps can relax over tea and talk more about their enemy, a mercenary named Mimic, whom of which Whisper has been keeping an eye on and protecting Tangle and co from, though she doesn't admit that. Though the wolf wishes to hunt him down alone, Tangle is eager to join her on her adventure in stopping an Eggman crony and also Whisper's arch enemy, though she promptly gets shot down to the Lemur and Wisp's dismay. We don't know yet why Whisper is so reluctant on letting someone else join her on her mission, but with enough encouragement and the cube Wisp giving her puppy dog eyes, she eventually relents, though a sudden shock puts her back into serious mode. The first issue ends on a cliffhanger involving a note left on the museum's door, written by Mimic and threatening Whisper in hopes of settling things. But the duo are ready to face it. Or are they? We'll see. Issue number 2, Ambush, starts out immediately with the titular Lemur and Wolf out on a sneaking mission, and already their personalities are clashing. Before she thinks about boldly stepping into what is clearly a death trap, Tangle has a little moment where she begins to understand Whisper and Mimic's shared history, though nothing too big, and the two cautiously sneak inside, unknowingly being watched by the shapeshifter himself. How ominous. Inside the abandoned Eggman bunker, there's nothing really there except for crates and Badnik parts, and Tangle has the bright idea for them to split up to quicken the search for their target. Great thinking, genius. Don't screw it up. Yeah, you failed that once you both separated in a warehouse containing a shape-shifting assassin. However, her heart's in the right place, and after hearing a commotion with Jules' voice, Tangle quickly comes to Whisper's aid, though she doesn't speak in short sentences or in a hushed voice, nor does she have her Whisper on her, but Tangle comes to that conclusion too late and gets locked in a safe for her troubles, which she really does not like. Meanwhile, Whisper also encounters who we certainly know not to be Tangle, and she certainly isn't fooled by Mimic's tricks. He still gets the drop on her when Tangle leads the sniper to a trap, riding atop a reactivated egg hammer with a wrecking ball. Whisper uses her Whisper resourcefully and is able to destroy the Super Badnik with ease. Mimic is no slouch, however, but with the wolf's superior marksmanship, she has him pinned. Whisper is freaking pissed. Mimic proceeds to emotionally torture her by shifting into the form of each of her dead Diamond Cutter teammates just to pour salt in the wound. He reveals that he sold them out and was the cause of the group's demise. What a dick. This issue reaches its end soon after Mimic tells Whisper where exactly he imprisons Tangle, making his escape and rigging the whole bunker to explode. The pair are reunited, and they are thankfully spared from the oncoming wall of flame thanks to the sturdiness of the safe, as much as Tangle hates it. Following the bunker being wrecked by the detonation, the two clash once more as Whisper pushes her away, stating that she'd be best back home than here. Not because Tangle screwed up, though I personally beg to differ, but because she doesn't want to experience the trauma of losing another friend. The last page has Tangle consoling the poor wolf girl, who now feels comfortable enough to tell her side of the story. Now is when the secrets come out. Issue number 3, Betrayal. So the Diamond Cutters were an anti-Eggman group, of which Whisper and Mimic were a part of, and each of them had a particular Wisp companion for their individual weapon, Smithy over here having a freaking minigun Wispin. As shown through visor video footage, the team of mercenaries worked in some pretty dangerous environments, destabilizing Eggman's bases way before the war, and they were a swell team. The group seemed almost family-like, until one mission at the start of the Eggman War proved to be their last. The entire team, sans Whisper, enter a compound lined with rows upon rows of capsules, and fans of Sonic heroes might recognise what exactly is in them. Shadow androids, really creepy ones. With Mimic sealing them inside, the Diamond Cutters are overwhelmed by the lookalikes as they crawl out of the fricking woodwork, wiping the good guys out. Holy crap, no wonder Whisper gets all antsy when in the same room as the real Shadow. From the traitor's POV, we also see him reporting to Eggman himself, pre-Sonic Forces, showing us his true motivations for betraying his friends and why he's so intent on hunting down Whisper in the present. The dude is severely messed up, and these flashbacks are horrendously effective at making him a threatening antagonist for the Wolf Sniper. But I wouldn't say he's all that fleshed out, more on that later. Tangle watches all this happen on the visor's playback feature, and she also discovers that it's the Diamond Cutter's masks that allow them to properly communicate with wisps. That's pretty impressive craftsmanship, considering Tails could only translate it into binary code in Sonic colors. Yeah, that's where Whisper came from, and even answers where the wisps and her multi-tool Wispin came from. And Tangle is even chill enough to actually sit down and listen to her as a friend, something the Wolf Girl is in dire need of right now. I like it when the good guys treat the introverted Whisper with respect, and this action officially grants her and the Wisps their trust. While still unsure of the outcome and not wanting to lose anyone again, Whisper listens to Tangle's declaration of friendship and how friends look out for each other no matter what, and the two make their decision to get payback and avenge the Diamond Cutters. Ah, Whisper hug. The issue ends with Mimic going back to the site of the destroyed bunker on the Doctor's orders to see if there are any survivors. However, he is in for a nasty surprise once he drives further in. He spots a message in the sand, complete with a footprint trail and, Wisp Angels, leading the mercenary to the final showdown, of which he requests backup. This is gonna be good. Issue number 4, Showdown. Tangle and Whisper lie in wait at the former Diamond Cutter's base in the middle of the Clove Sea, and boy do they have a wake-up call. A whole swarm of badniks and a dropship loom ahead. Not that they can't deal with robots of that size, of course. On Whisper's insistence this time, the two split up once again, Whisper dealing with the oncoming badnik horde, and Tangle taking out Mimic personally, who's probably landed somewhere on the base by now. Oh, there he is. Tangle leads Sonic into a room, seemingly falling for his trap once again, but she sure as hell learnt from last time. She triggers a trap that plays back moments Mimic shared with his teammates, no doubt to make him feel shame and remorse for his part in, killing them. But Mimic isn't one to feel such emotions, and in fact only saw them and the concept of friendship as useless stepping stones for his ambitions to be a professional. At least that's what I think he's getting at here. Her and him get into a fight, of which Mimic takes full advantage of her sentimentality by changing into Jewel, and he soon gets the upper hand. But then Whisper comes in to protect her. Atta girl. There's a bit of drama concerning Mimic's old Wisp not wanting to fight him, but eventually the two girls incapacitate him with Tangle's tail. Whisper is ready to repay the favour and shoot Mimic right then and there, but Tangle stops her because that's not like her and it's better for him to live and regret losing to her, yada yada. It's played out just as you'd expect, but at least Whisper has some closure. This issue comes to a close following Mimic being held in Tails' workshop, on his way to prison. The duo have some final words for the dude before he's incarcerated, and they leave him in Tails' hands. With promises of future adventures and badnik trouncing the next time they are free, Whisper and Tangle depart on friendly terms and go their separate ways. All's well and ends well for them, and yeah, that's the basic plot of the entire miniseries. I may have glossed over a few details, but that's because I'm saving my thoughts on most of these subjects for later, and that includes the Diamond Cutters and their inspirations. Have no fear, I'll get to that soon enough.
You're pretty good.
While this miniseries holds very little appearances of the game cast, it's pretty true to the feel of Sonic. It's hard to find a character I don't like that fits into the Sonic universe, save for one or two, but I'll start with the main ones. Tangle is never not her energetic self, and she's just as ditzy and accident-prone as usual. The lemur and her personality could have very easily gotten grating over time, considering she's the co-star of this whole miniseries, but barring that one moment in issue 2 where she acts rashly, Tangle's pretty likeable a hero. It helps she pulls her weight in battle, and, while always high on adventure caffeine, shows more sides of her character here that we haven't seen previously, such as her fear of enclosed spaces, which includes Whisper's mask, and the genuine sympathy she feels for Whisper and her tragic, beyond tragic backstory. Throughout the adventure, the upgrade from acquaintances to fire-forged friends is the natural progression for these characters. Dare I say, they'd make a great couple, like, not just a couple of really close friends. Make it happen, Sega. Of the co-protagonists, I feel Tangle is probably given the least focus. Sure, the first issue is all about her friends and her hometown, but all story beats after that are all on Whisper's development. Off-kilter character focus aside, Whisper the Wolf's personality is greatly fleshed out further, which takes up a good chunk of this miniseries, but boy is it engaging. It's great seeing her more than just be a silent and shy sniper and witness just what exactly caused her to become so nervous around everyone. It's interesting that her backstory elaborates that she's the last of her squad after they were offed by a powerful enemy, later forming a friendship with a character and also uses a Wispin in battle. Who does that remind me of? Oh yeah, the Avatar in Sonic Forces. I'm not the only one who thought of that, right? Her design was even conceptualized in the game's character creator. I probably should have said this in the video where she first appeared, but hey, it's way more important to note in this mini-series. Intriguing to note that in the past, she was much more talkative and prone to making little jokes, even being referred to as bubbly at one point. I've seen some fans on DeviantArt or some crap call this a totally unjust case of character regression, as it implies that Whisper's whole introvert shtick stems from trauma and that she should have stayed the same in flashbacks, to which I say, screw you, you don't know introverts. I know she's a fictional character, but I can relate to her being friendly and talkative around her buddies, because who isn't shy around everyone, except for those that you're close to, who you can go crazy with? Plus, it makes it all the more heartfelt when Whisper begins to open up to Tangle, the only other person who stuck around and gotten to know her better. Their friendship may take a backseat to the plot, but when it's shown, it's some of the most supportive and encouraging stuff you'll ever read two peeps say. They are both such goods. For the other characters, I haven't even given her a proper introduction yet, but hey, give it up for Jewel the Beetle! A semi-important side character and one of the few bug-type Sonic characters I've seen. I simply adore her design, initially drawn up by Jen Hernandez, and her more reserved and organised personality contrasts well with Tangle's gung-ho nature. She's by all means a side character at this point, but this and the 2019 annual helped make her a series regular. What other characters are there? I guess next would be the Wisps. They appear so frequently and are surprisingly integral to the plot and its drama that it'd be rude not to mention them. The revelation that each of her alien companions had been the Wispens of each of her fallen friends was a small but shocking reveal. And I liked how they not only appeared in the background and did their own thing, but also how they, the Block Wisp in particular, were treated as characters in their own right with their familiarity with the main antagonist. Plus, Wisps are cute, especially when they are drawn as the most huggable aliens ever created. On the villain side, we have Mimic the Octopus, an absolute arsehole of a spy who ratted out the rest of his team. As a threat, I felt he was used very effectively throughout the miniseries, always being one step ahead of Whisper and being shown only in disguise, until his mask slips and we see just how horrifying a person he is when he has his game face on. When seen in action, or during the downtime between conflicts, he is built up to be a real nasty. And I like how the pages depict his shapeshifting in particular. He could instantly be a different character between some panels, but then some others show this little shimmering effect as he warps between forms. Another detail I admire is that no matter what form he takes, as well as the eyes, he always shares the same suction cup markings. This is a clear signal that it's Mimic, but looking back on the miniseries, it's snakily hidden from us until issue 4 because the palms of his hands are always hidden in some way. I felt like a freaking genius when I discovered that, even if it's still a book meant for children, but... While I enjoyed just about everything about this character's backstory, design, and just how perfect an antagonist he is, his personality and motives are, to be frank, pretty lacking in depth. I thought at first we'd get an explanation as to why he sided with Eggman and got his comrades killed, especially after this moment with all the holograms of shame. But no, he's just totally unfazed by it and he just says that they were a means to an end, because he'd rather pick the winning side. While it makes for a good contrast to his more empathic adversary, having him be just so two-dimensionally devious seems to rob any opportunity for future development. In a comic with so many fleshed out, creative archetypes, I'm honestly surprised that they played really safe with the backstabbing, evil-looking teammate. He looks evil, so of course he's gonna betray the rest of the gang. Call me stuck up, but I felt it was just a little bit cliched. It's like something the old Archie Sonic comics would have done. Oh wait, they actually did that. And that guy was purple coloured too, though perhaps for more contrived a reason, because he's a snake. God, what is it with these characters and their entire personalities just being, I'm evil in disguise, frick you guys. Lastly, I suppose I should bring up the Diamond Cutters themselves. While appearing posthumously, I enjoy all their little quirks and the parts they played in their squad. The moments they had with Whisper were pretty sweet, as we saw from her point of view, and golly, I didn't realise that they were all references to the Foxhound group from Metal Gear Solid until recently, but man does that make a whole lot of sense now. Their base even resembles Big Shell from Sons of Liberty. Someone was a Metal Gear fan while working on this comic, and I'm all for it. Those games were freaking cool. Compared to the mainline Sonic books, this miniseries does dip its toe into more mature subject matters, from assassins and espionage, unnatural looking shape-shifting villains, and the death of comrades in arms and how grief leads one to be closed off from future bonds. Nobody dies on panel or anything, but the intensity and how chaotic the art gets really make the subjects a lot scarier, especially when you consider this book has the Speedy Blue Hedgehog name on it. The visual flashbacks of Whisper and her old team, the villain and his venomously vengeful relationship with her, all of this gives the miniseries a darker edge, and it helps it stand out as its own thing. It's thankfully not all doom and gloom, as there are plenty of pages that have Tangle and Whisper in a less action-oriented setting and letting their personalities bounce off each other, even if it's mostly Tangle doing all the talking while Whisper is focused on the mission. I thoroughly enjoyed the time spent in the Mineral Museum before the duo went out on their mission, and especially the pages of them under the stars while they have their hearts-to-hearts and plan the next step in their plan. It could be a little slow at parts, and not have as much action as initially suspected, but it's so important to their relationship, I feel. Funny how these sapphic relationships develop underneath the stars. I'm starting to notice a pattern here. Oh hey, it's a little later than my usual formula of looking at covers first, but dudes, check this out. Call me a simple Sam, but I love it when covers come together to form a full picture. I'm a sucker for panoramic art. The covers do seem a little samey, at least individually, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate her art. Yeah, Evan Stanley did the illustrations and covers for this miniseries, and I could never get enough of the way the characters are postured on the covers. They are so cool and promise good things. On to the variant covers, and Natalie Fordrain did one for each of the issues, and they are not only varied and eye-catching in their own right, but also really colourful. That just leaves the 4 covers done by the other artists, who I'll name here. And they are also decent, and though not all of them are great, they showcase the different artists' styles fairly well. I don't have a complaint about any of them, and I commend IDW for having such talented peeps make really amazing variant covers that are just as good, if not better than the main ones. That used to be a rare sight in Archie Sonic, let me tell you. As for the art in the miniseries itself, Stanley once again does a bang-up job. The characters are obviously well drawn and expressive, especially in the case of Tangle, so much so that Sega originally asked her to tone it down on one panel. And every location has just the right amount of detail put into it. It is never boring on the eyes, and the Dark Bunker especially gave the story a nice, moody environment for the characters to run around in. And perhaps my biggest compliment goes to the colouring. For the first issue, Matt Herms acts as colorist and gives the town a beautiful swash of different colours for the setting, especially when it suddenly goes into full horror mode with the usual inky black and dark reds. It's notably a recurring colour throughout the whole miniseries actually. The other 3 issues instead had Leonardo Ito as colorist, which certainly made me raise an eyebrow. What, the guy who worked on the issue with the faded snowy setting and dingy hideouts? Well, don't I have egg on my face, he stepped up his game in this miniseries. While still not perfect, his style of brush and colouring adds to the miniseries' atmosphere in more ways than one. The bunker looks so fittingly ghastly and decrepit that I think he's partially responsible for that look. It even carries over a bit of style from Sonic Force's aesthetic. Not the whole bendy dots thing, I mean like the general look. Not just that, but witness the calm night setting with the stars glimmering through the blue, cloudless sky, and the warm sunrise washing over the entire colour palette during the final showdown. Art-wise, it's too aesthetically pleasing for me not to appreciate. Wait, hold up a second. The background of this one panel has what seems to be the decommissioned husks of Scratch and Grounder from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon? That's a peculiar cameo. Does that mean that Eggman had them as minions at one point but then decommissioned them and then left them in an abandoned warehouse? If they are canon to the story, then they certainly aren't around anymore. Sorry, just a penny for thought. Enough sending like 6,000 compliments at this thing. It's time to use my critical eye and give these mother huggers some scores. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Issue number 1 starts out really fun. Tangle is a decent co-protagonist, and I love seeing her swing about and interacting with the other characters. The mystery is kept slow and steady, though there is a little bit of kerfuffle before the characters finally come together to learn about their new enemy. It may make the story progression a tad slow comparatively, but it's truly awesome seeing the duo come together, and I love the build up to Mimic and just how stealthy he is. As the first dive into the miniseries, it's kind of good, so it's probably best I give it a score of 6 out of 10. Love me a good build up, but the other issues are just better paced. Issue number 2 is where the miniseries' signature mellow tone starts seeping into the cracks, and it goes from fun antics of Tangle and Whisper to legit heated action and mystery. The stakes are raised and the characters just starting to work together, have the mission blow up in their faces, literally, and have a quick reflection at the end. It's really intense stuff and it flows pretty naturally. Way more enjoyable than the previous issue for me. Due to that, I shall grant this one a 7 out of 10. Issue number 3 may have less threats for our heroes to face, at least directly, but damn does its framing device deserve all the awards. Not only do we learn more about the situation and of Whisper as a whole, we see just how close her and Tangle become as friends and combat the situation strategically. This issue had some very delicate moments of friendship, and I welcome it with open arms. Final score, 8 out of 10, let's frickin' go. Issue number 4, while having a very intense battle in the first third against the onslaught of badniks, fell short during the final Mimic confrontation, both in the revelation of the villain's flat motives and the way he's just incarcerated at the end. The characters get closure from his defeat, and I'm happy that Whisper can breathe a sigh of relief for once, but it still wasn't that satisfying as a reader, at least to me. Am I saying Whisper should have popped a cap in Mimic's arse? No, because that would have been both out of character and also bump up the rating a notch. I guess I've just grown tired of this trope. With this lusterless ending and dynamic action panels clashing in terms of depth, I suppose it gives me no choice but to rank it an average 5 out of 10. Closer to a 6 than a 4, but you know. For the next IDW Sonic video, I'll be going full steam ahead into the Metal Virus arc. We're in for the long haul, folks. I'll do my best to keep a positive mindset. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, if indeed you still are, and I'll see you in the next video. Holy crap, you guys, is that the heavy weapons guy from Team Fortress